Hi, this is Geoff Meed. I was Paul Croft in Kickboxer 5, The Redemption. You are listening to my man Justin Harvey on The Justin Harvey Show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Harvey here of The Justin Harvey Show. As you know, I have been covering a lot of kickboxer interviews through the year. Well, tonight is no exception. I have a star from the movie Kickboxer 5, Mr. Geoff Meed, also known as Paul Croft. Welcome to the show, sir.
How you doing, my friend?
I am doing wonderful. How are you doing this evening?
Doing all right.
It is truly an honor to have you a part of the Justin Harvey Show. So I'm very thankful for your time. But before we jump into the whole kickboxer genre, can you please tell my audience how you got into acting and, a little bit of your background, a little bit of your history?
Well, my whole plan in life was to go play college football and then go into the military and make a career out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So my freshman year, I think it was, I got hurt real bad in the spring game.
Mm-hmm.
Sophomore year, I had my first knee surgery, and pretty much there, any chance of playing college was going to be done already. I played my senior season and then had to have 2 more knee surgeries. So I went ahead and went down, before I graduated, down to the recruitment office to enlist in the military, and at that time, they were much more selective.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had surgical hardware in my body, surgical screws, they wouldn't take me. So nobody would take me into the service. So I went ahead and went to college. And it wasn't that I didn't try, I just wasn't a very smart student. I studied, and I did what I needed to do. I just didn't make that great of grades. And I was too stupid to go into business. So I had been kicked out of school at the University of Texas at Austin, and my family called me home to where they had gone from Houston to El Paso, and there was nothing to do in El Paso, Texas. And my mother was involved in community theater and local film and TV and commercials, and said, "Hey, why don't you come down to the theater and audition?" That's how it started. Came out of having nothing to do, myself. So that's how I fell into it.
Oh, wow. That's amazing, Geoff. And, Geoff, I wanted to say, before we jump into the whole kickboxer thing and everything, this wasn't planned, but this is a heartfelt thing from me to you. I wanted to personally say thank you for standing up for disabled individuals, because I saw the Facebook post of that poor individual being bullied by those kids.
Yeah. When I was, when I was in elementary school, and junior high and high school, I was always sort of the bully's bully. Anybody that was a bully, I kind of went after them and beat them up. So I've always been kind of, championing the underdogs in life.
Oh wow, that's really cool. Could you talk a little bit about to my audience what it was like working with the cast of Malcolm in the Middle? I worked, I think it was just on there one day. Yeah, I was on there one day for the scenes. And I think they only shot that in 5 days because, TV shows like CSI shoot 8 days. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure Malcolm was just 5, but it was either the day before or that morning of filming, my father had passed away. Mm-hmm.
And, I think somebody caught me crying or something in between takes, or so I was kind of off by myself. So I said, my father just died. And it got around set, and Bryan Cranston came over to me and said, this guy didn't know me from Adam. I mean, we knew each other for the day, but he'd never met me.
Mm-hmm.
And he came over and said, it was a Friday. It was a Friday. And he said, I'm having a poker game in my house tonight. Would you like to come? Which really threw me. I mean, here was the star of the television show asking me to come to his house to play poker. Mm-hmm. So it was, I didn't go. I just wasn't in the right mindset, but it was a really great. I mean, I just mostly worked with Brian. I met, can't remember how you say her name, Jane Cruzella, and massacre her name, the one that played the mother.
Yeah.
And one of the sons, but I didn't get to meet the boy that played Malcolm, but the two parents and the older brother were fantastic. They were, especially Bryan Cranston. I was shocked at how nice he was. And then the cast, the crew, the producers actually sent me a baseball cap for that season, which apparently I heard was something they don't normally do. But it was a very nice, nice experience.
Oh, wow. And also you were featured in another show that I watched on Netflix, and I'm in the process of trying to contact some of the cast from this show. Can you talk a little bit about working with the cast from Charmed?
Justin, that's not the cast on that show was not a cast I cared to work with again.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
now, Antonio Sabato Jr. was very cool.
Yeah.
I worked mostly with Antonio, and Antonio and I had a great time together. We ate our meals together. We hung out a lot. He was fantastic. But as for the rest of the crew, the rest of the cast, rather, no comment.
Well, thanks for that, Geoff. I will take that into consideration, my friend. So, because I'm often careful myself, with doing this and stuff. But okay, can you talk about, I know this was just a small part, but this was awesome. You were also in Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how you got involved with that?
Yeah, I was predominantly known, and still to a point, even though I'm not in LA right now, as being the go-to bad guy for television. Mm-hmm. So I had a name, as far as the casting offices and producers of television went. I get Geoff Meed in here for, this bad guy for this episode. Mm-hmm. And my film credits had predominantly been a lot of B movie stuff, like Kickboxer 5, Leprechaun 4, junk like that. Mm-hmm. And I got the audition offer for Little Miss Sunshine, and I read the script, and and there was a little more to what made it on screen. That always happens. Mm-hmm. But I read the script, and I thought, this is going to win at least one Academy Award in something. Mm-hmm. And I told my agent, I said, yeah, I'll go do it. I'll go do the part. So I went in, and for mostly for big films, you mostly get hired off tape. You never meet anybody. You just go up to the casting director, and they take you, which is different than television. And I went in, and the cast directors were, treated me like I was somebody, which was kind of odd. And they said, is this part too small for you? And I said, no. I mean, I love the script, and I know who your stars are. I'll do the part. It's not too small for me. Mm-hmm. So I got it. Most of the guys in the room were much more biker looking than I was too. I mean, there were guys with long ZZ Top beards and long hair and tattoos, and I was the most, I guess, unthreatening looking biker that had been there auditioning. But I got the part. All those people were really great. There was, we were sitting there for a week watching these kids dance. They were real pageant contestants. Mm-hmm. And this one particular day, they were just shooting the girls dancing all day. And the directors got up on the stage, and they was placing a camera. And they said, okay, so now we're gonna catch Geoff on this shot. So there's all these moms and children, and in a moment of idiocy, I jumped up and said, F yeah! And just screamed it out, dropped the F-ball. Mm-hmm. And, just being a jerk, I was bored. And everybody was completely dead, silence. Then everybody started laughing. And they said, we got to keep that. Of course, obviously in the movie I don't say F yeah, I just said yeah. But, so that was kind of how, originally everybody's dead, quiet in the audience, and they were just going to zoom in on me, and I started clapping. So the standing up and yelling, that was kind of just me goofing off, and they ended up keeping it. Mm-hmm. But, Greg Kinnear and Steve Carroll, all those guys were fantastic. It was a very neat experience.
Excellent. And before I jump into the whole kickboxer thing, I'd like to mention to you there's a slight chance that I actually might get to meet you in person because I'm actually being inducted into the USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame in 2015.
Oh, fantastic.
And I've heard that, through my contacts, that you've been to this event before.
Yeah, I go mostly to the one in Newark and Indianapolis. Usually I go to LA, but I didn't make it this past year. But I'm usually in New York or New York, whichever it was. It was in Newark, and then I went to New York. So I'm usually at that one. I'm usually at the Indianapolis one. I'm usually at the LA one. And then, of course, the Texas one.
Well, the Indianapolis one in 2015, Geoff, is the one I'll be attending. So.
Okay. Hopefully I'll get to make it.
Yeah, it'd be great to actually get to meet you and take some photo shots and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and jump into the kickboxer edition of the show. Now, my question here is the obvious one, Geoff. Like when you were approached for the part, were you familiar with the kickboxer series at the time, or the epic that it was?
Well, see, here's the thing, Justin. Actually, it had been Kickboxer 5, and then when Mark DeCostas came aboard, his representative said, we're not going to do it. It's called Kickboxer 5. So it then became the Redemption. So when I came aboard, when I went in audition, I didn't realize it was part of the Kickboxer series. I thought it was just a martial arts movie called The Redemption. Mm-hmm. And, back in the 90s, these action, straight-to-video 4 movies were a huge business. Not so much anymore, but at the time they were making them all the time. So I had gone in, and I just thought it was a martial arts movie. And then I got a call from my agency saying that the fight coordinators needed to meet me. And so I went in to meet the fight coordinators, and there was a gentleman named Burton Richardson, who was a huge Jeet Kune Do instructor, and he also taught Chris Liebman, who fought in the UFC, and had a audition and show that I did the martial arts. And at that point, Burton's girlfriend at the time, June, had mentioned something about Mark DeCostas. Mm-hmm. I said, Mark's in this? So when we got over there, I realized that there was a tie-in to Kickboxer 5 because at the beginning there's some talk about the previous Kickboxer movies. But the whole premise was it was supposed to be The Redemption. Mm-hmm. And then it was supposed to go theatrical, we were told. And then things happened, and it went straight to HBO, and they put back. And even when it was on HBO, it was still called The Redemption. But then after a while, all of a sudden, the Kickboxer 5 started popping up on the video titles and stuff. But it was my understanding that Mark's people had said, don't put Kickboxer 5 on this. But, they're going to do what they want to do. They don't care. So.
Oh, yeah. For your parts in general, how did you prepare for your script and your part? Kind of take my audience through that process. What did you think of the script at first?
It was okay. There's actually Mark and I and Christine, the director, and oh my gosh, I'm forgetting that. It's so long ago. The main producer, whatever his name was. We actually rewrote quite a lot.
Uh-huh.
The whole scene in the spinach patch, that was not in the script. We completely rewrote that.
Oh, wow.
That was it. Yeah, that was actually, we came up with that on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
We really sat down with a notepad and pen. We wrote that whole scene out in a spinach patch, and then we shot it. Trying to think back, there was a lot of stuff we did with that. There was in the scene where I was running through the airport, and then I go back where the baggage stuff is. Mm-hmm. That was actually supposed to, I forgot, it was supposed to end up being in some enclosed area. Mm-hmm. And we ended up not having access to that after all at the airport. So they put us in that area that's in the movie, and they did a good job of hiding it, I think. No, they didn't, because you saw the guy in the crutches come in. But it wasn't sealed off. There were these huge hangar doors. Mm-hmm. So everybody was freaking out because the whole point was Paul Croft gets cornered, and now he has to fight. Mm-hmm. So I said, hey, look, man, it's kind of making the guy sort of a puss. What if he's just had enough of running, and he turns and decides, screw it, I'm going to fight these guys. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, that's a great idea. So, so we did that. But we did, and there's more, there's a lot more that we changed. I'm struggling. There was another big scene I'm trying to make up. I can't remember what it was.
That's okay.
Yeah, but it came down to me and Mark, rewriting all, just sitting there with no pads and pens. I would have a lunch table, just rewriting stuff like crazy. Mm-hmm.
Not to downgrade the film or whatever, but here's my thought. I thought it would have been nice if they could have, like, with your character, been more in depth. Like, you know that you worked for Mr. Nagall in the past, but you really don't know much about it. You know what I mean?
There was actually more to the character. But it was kind of turning into, is this a Mark Dacascos movie or a Geoff Meed movie? Nobody knew who I was. So there actually was more to Paul Croft, but, it was a story about the guy, the hero, Matt Reeves, not the other guy. I was just sort of a sidekick. So, that's...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, you were my favorite character in that film. So.
It was a fun part.
So, but also, Geoff, I didn't get to see this, but I recently read you were in NCIS. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did a real, the politics of Hollywood. I was up for a big part. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, somebody wanted this other guy, so they offered me the role of his friend, which was one scene, and I said no. I didn't say no. I have twice the resume that I do, but I've turned down a lot of projects in my life, and so this was one instance where I said no, I'm not going to do that part. I don't want to do it. And there's just certain times where powers that be and your reps say, no, if you want to, keep everybody happy, you have to do this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those things. I didn't want to do it as a tiny, tiny part. Mm-hmm. But, to kind of make up for it, they put my name at the beginning of the show. They gave me a decent paycheck for the day. But, yes, I did the first one. I was just up for NCIS LA. Mm-hmm. Few weeks ago, and I didn't get the part for it, but I was up for NCIS Satellite, I guess about 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
First one. Yeah.
So anybody out there, wanting to get into acting, what advice or encouragement would you give these people if they wanted to break into acting?
My honest advice, Justin, is find something else to do.
Find something else to do.
But, if somebody is just really bent on doing it, the easiest thing that happens to most people is you get out there. Yeah, I even wrote a book. I have a book on Amazon.com on how to get into business. But the biggest thing people do is they get out there, they have no idea how to do anything, and they fall into this, get a waiter job, and I go wait tables at night, then I go out with my friends and party and talk about, when I win my Academy Award, then I wake up hungover at about 11 o'clock in the morning, then I maybe go to the gym, then I go back and wait tables again, then I go out and get drunk. I mean, that's the trap that, seriously, 90% of people fall into.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So my first bit of advice would be don't fall into that. Go get the waiter job or the bouncer job. I was a bouncer at night, and during the daytime I was sneaking on. It's a lot harder now, but
mm-hmm.
back then I was sneaking on movie lots. There's a lot of casting directors that are off lot, just in buildings. I would go in there and visit them and drop off headshots. So what I didn't do was, go bounce, then go out and get drunk till 6 in the morning, then sleep till 2 o'clock, then do it over again. I went to go bounce, and then I went home with bed. I got my butt up in the morning, and I went out and pounded the pavement. Mm-hmm. So that would be my first advice. My second advice is you really need to understand what you are. Mm-hmm. When I went out there, I thought I was going to be Tom Cruise. And it's kind of embarrassing to even think that I thought that. But you need to really understand what your type is. Are you the bad guy? Are you the hero? Are you the fat chick who's a friend of the really hot girl? Mm-hmm. Are you, the geek that wears, the tape on his glasses? I mean, you just gotta mm-hmm. really know what your part is. And the first part is just don't fall into that whole party, living the dream foolishness, which is what I'm going to say 99% of the people are doing out there.
Wow.
So those are the two biggest pieces of advice I could give, mm-hmm. aside from doing something else.
Wow. Now you study martial arts, correct?
Yeah.
Tell us about your style in martial arts, and I've heard you do seminars too.
I'm sorry, what?
I've heard that you possibly do seminars as well.
Yeah, I actually have my own school now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I actually have my own school now. I started martial arts when I was 12. My father was an amateur boxer in the Army, and he also knew judo, so he had taught me how to box and taught me some judo. Mm-hmm. And I got stabbed for the first time in the 6th grade. And then in the 8th grade, I hook punched a guy and dislocated his jaw. I broke my hand. So after those two incidents, I decided I probably need to learn martial arts. So I started, with Taekwondo, like everybody does. Mm-hmm. But I studied American Kempo. I studied Kyokushin. I studied Danshin Jiu-Jitsu. I did Muay Thai for a long time. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But I currently I earned a black belt in karate, which is sort of a mix between Shotokan and Kyokushin. Mm-hmm. But currently, I hold a 4th degree black belt in Kempo, a 2nd degree black belt in Hapkido, and a 1st degree black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh, wow. So, you know a lot of the trade then is what I like to call it,
Yeah, and then, the thing that separates me is, and this, I don't mean to bag on people, but, if you ask 9 out of 10 martial arts instructors, have you ever applied to martial arts, they'll say no, which is very admirable. Mm-hmm. But, coming from my side of the track, my thought is, well, how do you know it works? But, you know, I worked raw constant security and ran bars at some dangerous nightclubs. Like, I've been stabbed, I've been shot at, I've been at concert riots. So I've actually applied the martial arts in real life. And, yeah, I actually went and taught the Marine Corps McMap instructors course. So I actually went on to base down San Diego and taught the Marine Corps martial arts program instructors martial arts. So, the program I teach is a little more, you know, thing in the eye, kick him in the groin, hit him in the throat type of stuff, not, you know, jump in the air and spin 5 times and try to hook kick him in the side of the head.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, one thing I forgot to ask you about Kickboxer 5. What was the most challenging thing working on that film? I mean, what was the most challenging, do you think?
Being in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Really?
Yeah, it was, when we were there, it was 2 weeks after apartheid hit it. And it was pretty dangerous. We were pulling out of the prisons. We were filming in the prison. Mm-hmm. We were actually, one of those days, we were pulling out, and everybody literally pulls up and touches bumpers, getting ready to turn left. I guess turning right it was. And at this time, they were having a lot of taxi cabs. There was really a taxi cab war going on. Mm-hmm. And you had rival companies carjacking each other. And we pulled out of the prison, and we were sitting there, and the girl that played my sister, Rulan, and her boyfriend with me. I had this huge van, and I felt stupid driving by myself, so I let Rulan and her boyfriend ride with me. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there, and 2 taxis pull over the side of the road, and these guys get out, and they start shooting each other. And, you know, 50 feet away, these guys are having a gun battle. And people are falling over dead. And I looked around, and everybody that was driving had ducked down. And I'm the only idiot that's sitting up watching this go on. So a bunch of the guys that hadn't died took off chasing each other, shooting each other across this field. And this one guy that had hung behind looked over. He saw us sitting in a van. And all the taxi cab companies had vans. Mm-hmm. So this guy looked over and had this big old grin on his face and came walking over, raising the gun up at him. So this is where I did the best acting job of my life. I reached under my shirt and started trying to pull the door open. And I started telling this guy, you know, I'm going to blow your head off, you blankety blank, 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 and just, you know, put on a big acting job. And he actually stopped and put his hands up and turned and ran away.
Oh, wow.
So that's one story about being there, but it was, the filming wasn't that bad, it was the city. It's just really dangerous.
Wow. Now, is that the only dangerous encounter you've had during filming, or is that just one of many that you've had? Or?
One of the what? Filming?
Is that just the is that like the only dangerous encounter you've had during filming in your years of filming, or have you had other occasions where you've had some dangerous situations? Or
yeah, there was when I was doing a TV show called The District with Craig T. Nelson, and I was playing this skinhead. So, and this guy, you know, he's killing these people, and they're trying to chase him down. So we were shooting a scene this one day where Craig T. Nelson finally catches me. And we were in a bad part of Los Angeles. So, you know, I always had a shaved head, but they had lightning bolt tattoos on my neck. And I had the bomber jacket and the blue jeans with the Doc Martens. So, I looked, you know, very skinhead neo-Nazi. And I was standing there on the sidewalk, and this lowrider car came creeping up, and these hardcore guys were looking at me. You know, and they didn't see the camera crew. and they didn't see the cops. They were standing at behind the stand, and they were looking at me, and I looked at them, and I stomped my foot at them.
Oh, wow.
Just to be a jerk. And the guy started reaching into his glove compartment.
Mm-hmm.
And the two cops spun around and go, "Hey, keep it moving, girls." So the guys, took off. Mm-hmm. And the cops looked at me, and one of the guys said, "That was funny, but don't do that blank again." "Oh, I'm sorry, officer." So that was my smartest moment on the movie set. But
well.
a few things that happen like that.
Now, are you writing your own films as well? Can you talk a little bit about that? I don't want to give anything away that you're currently working on. I just want to clarify that you are working on some of your own stuff.
Well, I've written my own stuff, but essentially what happens is, and really in the real world,
mm-hmm.
what happens is you write something and somebody reads it, and occasionally they might buy it, like a case of Little Miss Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens more often is somebody will read your work, and then they'll sit there and say, "Okay, well, that's nice, but here's my idea. Go write my idea." So that's what happens most of the time. The first script I ever sold was something that I had written. Mm-hmm. And then the company came back and asked me to write another one, which was I Am Omega with my buddy Mark Dacascos again. So most of the time I get approached by to write something. So right now I'm working on 2 different scripts for this company, The Asylum. They did the Sharknado movies. Mm-hmm. So I'm currently working on 2 projects for them at the moment.
Oh, that's awesome, Geoff. And before I let you go and everything, is there anything that you want to, and you can take as long as you need, Geoff. Is there anything that you want to pass along to my listening audience? Because this is going to be on iTunes, YouTube. This is going to be all over the net. So is there anything that you want to, pass along? You can take as long as you need.
I guess just given the times that are going on right now, I guess my biggest thing would be to, pay attention to what's around you and not what you're seeing on CNN. Mm-hmm. I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but, just for instance, with some of the stories that are going on right now, these are people who are voicing their opinion who have never been in a life or death situation themselves. Mm-hmm. So my rant right now is just, just keep your mind open and understand that you have a particular certain people saying this is how it is. Mm-hmm. My first question is, do you really have any experience in what you're talking about? Mm-hmm. So, I was having an argument with a guy at the coffee shop today about something, but that would just be my thing, is to, with all the stuff that's going on right now, just, keep an open mind. Don't necessarily subscribe to what you see on the news.
Oh, absolutely. And I just remembered one last question, Geoff, because I know you're a very busy man, but can you talk a little bit about working on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series?
The first Buffy, I forgot what episode I did. I think I did the 5th one, mm-hmm. and that was a really cool part. One day, it was Halloween, of all things, mm-hmm. and And also, back on the first season that I did, everybody was really cool. You know, it was a new show. The writing was really good. People were really excited. Everybody was very, friendly. So on this particular day, it was Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And that first season, it took 4 hours to get that makeup on you. When I went back to do a couple episodes on the sixth season, it took about 2 hours to do the makeup. But everything was new.
Mm-hmm.
But on this particular day, we were doing this fight scene in a morgue, and there's a scene where I'm beating up Buffy's boyfriend,
mm-hmm.
and I slammed this morgue freezer door into the back of his head. And in the process of doing it, the thing was to give him the cue to react to me hitting the door, I gave him a little tap in the back of his leg, which his leg was below the frame of the camera. And when I did that, I kind of rotated my torso about another inch or two, mm-hmm. and they had not protected the edge of the freezer door. It was razor sharp.
Mm-hmm.
So when I leaned in to give him that, when I kind of rotated to give him that little kick to react to the shot to the back of his head, that freezer door split me wide open. Cut me deep across my stomach. And I didn't, I thought it was just a scratch. And the actor, Christopher Wheel, drops. And then I look at Sarah, and Sarah Gellar's eyes got about the size of golf balls. And she said, "Oh, my God, are you okay?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" I look down, and you can see the layers of skin and fluff was coming out of my gut. So, everybody freaked out. And I was supposed to go in for, I think it was Alien 4. It was Alien 3 or Alien 4. I can't remember which one I was supposed to go in for, which one it was. But when we were coming up on lunch break, I was going to run literally just up the street to 20th Century Fox to go audition real quick for, I think it was Alien 4, and come back. So they're freaking out. I go, "We got to get you to the hospital. We got to get you to the hospital." And they said, no, just clean it up and butterfly stitch it. I'll be fine. And they were saying, no. I said, "Look, man, I've been stabbed twice. Okay, this is nothing. Just butterfly it, clean it out, butterfly it. I want to go to my audition for Alien 4. Mm-hmm. So all the producers came over and said, "You sure you're okay with this?" I said, "Yes, just butterfly it." So they cleaned it out and butterflied it. Mm-hmm. And so I ran up the street to Alien 4 audition at Fox. And the director, Jean Genet, was a French guy. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't understanding that I was on a TV show, and that's why I looked like a vampire. He thought I showed up. He thought I was on my way out for Halloween, and he couldn't understand it. So he's thinking I came in a Halloween costume, and he got all pissed off. And he just told them to put me on tape, and he left the room. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "Why can't you make this guy understand? I'm working on a television show." So anyhow. Needless to say, I didn't get the job, but I got back to Buffy, and that was, I think that was a 20-hour day. That particular day, and then they told me, "Please go to the hospital, please go to the hospital." So I did go to the hospital, 9 hours later or 7 hours later, mm-hmm. And I got to the ER, and the guys just said, "Well, nothing we can do now. It's, you're just going to have a nasty scar." I said, "Okay." So, then when I went back on the sixth season, mm-hmm. Not all of the cast, but a couple of the casts mm-hmm. were radically different people, and not different in a good way. So it was quite a bit of a letdown to see how these particular actors, actresses, mm-hmm. had let the success go to their head. So it was kind of, everybody remembered me too, which was, cool, but it was kind of a little bit of,
yeah, a disappointment. Yeah.
But both times, I had a great time. When can you dress up as a vampire or a demon and get paid a lot of money to go play Halloween for a few weeks. So they were good experiences. I enjoyed them.
Oh yeah, Jeff, and I wanted to comment on something. I would love to see you work with Sandra Bullock because she's one of my favorites. I love Sandra. I think it would be interesting to see you two work together on something.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd fit the profile for the movie she does. Unless there's some kind of a psycho killer or something. But
yeah,
I'd probably get Ben Foster for that. So
yeah. Now, some of your movies I've not seen, but I've heard that you were in, like, I'm trying to think of the name of the film, Apocalypse. It's off the tip of my tongue. It's Resident Evil. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Resident Evil Extinction, the third one.
Yeah. How was that experience?
You're asking all the bad questions. That wasn't a good experience. That role I did, it's the beginning of the film, and Mila Jovovich gets lured into a radio station. That scene was about 13 pages, as I recall. About 13 pages. And usually one page translates to a minute of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a good deal of lines in these 13 pages. They, for whatever reason, you shoot out of order. You don't shoot in order of film and TV. But for whatever reason, they were doing this toward the very end. Actually, it was the last 2 weeks of the movie. So people had already been there, for 3 months in Mexico, which isn't a fun place to go, at least for, to make movies. And people were pretty tired, pretty sick of it. Mm-hmm. The director had a bit of a problem, without going into too much detail. And the filming was very rushed, very unorganized. People were just tired. They just want to get done and get over and be done with it. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't necessarily one of my favorite jobs, and then especially when I saw the film and how badly they had edited it, and they just didn't. When we were filming, we knew they were covering. Coverage means how much film they shoot, how much they actually cover the scene. Mm-hmm. And all of us in the scene were, are they covering this? Or did they get that? We already moved on to the next page, type of thing. So we were all concerned at the time of filming. There was actually, I think, 1 or 2 days the director wasn't even there to film.
Oh, wow.
And one of the producers had to step in to do it.
So basically it was like, they wanted to do this film, but they didn't want to take the time to do it. They just wanted to make a quick buck with this film.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think it was this I had heard absolute horror stories. One of the worst things I heard was when they were filming out in Mexicali, they had left they went to lunch, and some of the actors or the gun wranglers had left the firearms sitting out. In Mexicali, I think it was 120 degrees, I think, there. And I heard horror stories about some of the actors and stuntmen when they pick up the guns, and the guns actually burned their hands, like seriously, like second-degree burns. Mm-hmm. When I was there was a stuntman that got hurt very, very badly. I don't think it wasn't that they were trying to just turn out a quick buck, but it was more that it had been a really rough shoot. There had been a lot of injuries. Anytime you're filming in someplace like Mexico or Johannesburg or the slums of Puerto Rico, you want to get out of there after a while. And I really think it was more that people they wanted to be done and get the heck out of there. It just sucks that it turned out that we were there the last 2 weeks of filming instead of being there, back when it was, new and exciting and it hadn't been dragging on for months.
my final question for you, Geoff, and before I ask this, I want to thank you for, being on the show and participating and not killing me over, awful questions and stuff. I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make sure and cover everything and give you a good show, my friend. And what is your expectations for 2015? What do you hope for 2015?
Well, I got hurt real bad on the movie 2 years ago. I was put on a new horse who didn't like gunshots, and he threw me, and I got caught up on the stirrup and fell underneath him, and he trampled me and shattered the entire side of my face, which is now, put back together with titanium, and broke 8 ribs, broke my sternum in 2 pieces, and lacerated my liver. So that's been a real big ordeal. So this happened in 2012. I still haven't had my eye socket fixed completely. So, my goal for 2015 is to finally get this fixed and get it put behind me, to be honest. It's been dragging on,
Yeah.
For, 2 years. So I would like to get that behind me, and then to also stop eating so much chocolate and dark chocolate and ice cream. So those are my goals. Get my eyes fixed and stop eating sugar.
That can be very tempting, and like I said, Geoff, I really hope when you have some new projects out and stuff, or a new book, I'm hoping that you will come back on the show, and I just want to thank you for being on the show, and I will definitely let you know when the show is posted. So
sounds good.
You take care, my friend.
All right, you too, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.